I always find that periods of downtime, like holidays, a great time to spend thinking about the business, looking at ways to move the business or yourself as a creative forward. It can be that you get so wrapped up in the everyday activities such as shooting, editing, dealing with clients, answering telephones, working on emails, that you forget to work on the thing that can be one of the most important, which is the business itself, which is your own creative and self-development. And when you are at that pivot point between one year and another, most businesses and individuals are kind of just chilling out, spending time relaxing, which means the telephones stop ringing and the emails stop coming in. And that silence for me, I've always found to be exceptionally useful. So don't use these downtimes as purely time to just let loose and to relax. Of course, we need to do that because that's part of the revitalization that is important to creativity itself. But use it to work out how you can better yourself and better your business. I often start to think about the products that we're producing. Are there any stylistic changes that we or I want to work on? Perhaps you want to start to play with a new type of technology. Maybe it might be a different way of shooting. Maybe you decide that for the year coming forward that you need to try and understand a particular technique that you don't understand now. In fact, as you're off in a week or a 2-week period, could you use it as the time where you start to research, to play and dabble with new software? I mean, for example, let's say that there's a great bit of software that you've always seen and you've wondered how it could benefit the business. But because you're stuck in the day-to-day routine of work, it doesn't make commercial sense for you to take time out from what you're doing to start to have a play, to have a tinker. So use that downtime that you may have to do just that. Start to experiment. Start to spend time on yourself, developing yourself. But then also maybe look at things like your pricing. Is your pricing working for you? Perhaps you kept your pricing the same for the last 2 or 3 years, and it would make sense for you to revisit that now, to see where you are in the marketplace. Perhaps you've been so focused on what you're doing that you've not really had too much of a chance to look at what other people are doing within the industry. And it can be a great time to look at people's websites, look at how people are communicating, looking at how trends have maybe shifted from where they were in the past. Because if you're not careful, you can fall into the same trap as I have at times, where you just do the same thing over and over and over again. And yes, it might be working for you now, but the question is it going to work for you in the next year and in the next few months? Also look at future trends. So certainly, we working in the video industry may be looking at things like virtual reality or 360 video, looking at Oculus Rifts. There are these huge shifts in technology. I remember a few years ago looking at 3D, and I would take this opportunity at this time of year to look at what was then 3D. Was it commercially viable? Did I like what it offered? Did I think that there was a service there that would benefit my clients? I decided no. I'm pleased about that. But now we look at other things and other ways of moving the business forward. So take this opportunity to really analyze what it is that you do and how you can better yourself. Perhaps you could look at offering another service. If you do photography right now, could you look at adding video to your services? Would that make sense? Your brand, how good is your brand? Is it communicating yourself or your skills and the business in the way that you would want your brand communicated, if that makes sense? It's sometimes only at these periods now where you start to get time that you get to really look within yourself or within your business and make the improvements that you need to move yourself forward. Let me give you some examples of some things that I was thinking about last year and tell you how it's affected us this year. So last year I was thinking I needed to make sure that we moved the Vivida brand forward. At the time it was focused a bit too much on me and less so on the team, so we successfully shifted that. I felt that the brand, when I looked at it last year, was becoming a little bit more staid. It wasn't reflective of the Vivida that I wanted it to be. So during the course of this year, we rebranded. Social media channels. I had Simeon Quarrie, but I didn't have, for example, the Team Vivida Instagram or Twitter that we now have. based on the thought processes that I had during the downtime, we executed that during the course of this year. We've also improved the nature of the team by adding other individuals into the team so that we could increase the capacity, because one of the limitations and restrictions that I saw was we had some good demand, but we would struggle to cope. So we made sure that we improved that. And this is exactly the thought process that we're going to go through now. I'm going to do that by myself in my own downtime, but then just before we break up and also just after we get back, I'll be sitting down with the team as well to make sure that I gather their input and their thoughts on how we can move ourselves forward. Thank you as always for listening and watching and viewing here on YouTube. Please feel free to share this video. If you have any thoughts, please comment. I would love that. And as always, if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe.